Now, when it comes to buying lenses, you may have heard a photographer say, you don't need a zoom lens, you can zoom with your feet, which basically means, you don't have to zoom in, you can just walk forward, and you don't have to zoom out and get a wide angle shot, you can just back up. And that's not entirely true. Most people don't realize that zooming with a lens completely changes the look of an image. When you're zoomed really wide out, things are really distorted, especially on the edges of the frame. If you put somebody's face right in the middle of a wide angle lens, they look, really bulged out and everything. And then the reverse happens as you back up and zoom in. If you use a telephoto lens, we see what we call compression, which is the subject appears to be getting closer and closer to the background. Now, this may be a little hard for you to understand, so I'm just going to show you how it works. What I'm going to do is get Chelsea to stand down this pathway right here, and I'm going to start at 18 millimeters, and I'm going to frame her up this exact same for every single picture. I'm going to take a step back and zoom in just a little bit. Take a step back, zoom in just a little bit, and then we will show you all of the pictures all the way from 18 millimeters up to 300 millimeters, and you will be able to see a huge difference. So I'm just framing her up to look the exact same in each shot. I want a little bit of head space and a little bit of her body. I'm at 18 millimeters here, and I'm gonna back up. Each step, I'm just zooming in a little bit, but again, trying to keep the exact same frame. So at this point, I have switched to a 70 to 300 millimeter lens as I back up. But again, I'm trying to zoom in so that I have the exact same frame. At this point, I'm getting really far away. I'm getting close to 300 millimeters here, guys. I've completely lost all of the lampposts and everything, and all you can see now behind her is a bush. So as you can see, guys, as we cycle through these images, let's first start with the one at 18 millimeters. You can see Chelsea's face is pretty warped in this shot. You can also see so much of the background. You can see those lampposts just going back into infinity behind her. And as we back up and zoom in, notice how those lampposts at the beginning get closer and closer to her until we get to the point where we can't even see the lamppost. We zoom past the lamppost, and now we are only seeing just this little sliver of exactly what's behind her. It's actually a trash can back there. And as I back up, it gets closer and closer and closer to her. And our final shot, all we can see is that bush behind her. So these images are going all the way from 18 millimeters to 300 millimeters, but keep in mind, the frame is the exact same. Her head's in the exact same place, and the zoom is in the exact same place relative to her. But as we back up and zoom in further and further and further, it's compressing that background up closer and closer to her. We see less and less of that background, and we really get to pinpoint in exactly what we want to see behind her in the frame. And this is why I personally love taking all of my portraits with long lenses. You can be in a really ugly area, but if you can back up and zoom in a bunch, you can pick just this one little bush that I want to have in the background. I'm going to blur it out and make it look just like beautiful colors. And if you shoot with a wide angle lens, especially if you get in somebody's face, it makes their nose so much bigger, everything gets warped out. So there's definitely pluses and minuses to both. If you want to warp somebody out, if you want to make it look like they're really long or they're jumping at the camera or something like that, you'd want to go with a wide angle lens. But if you want to compress their face, make their face look a little bit more like it does in real life, and also compress that background and just suck it up behind them and create really interesting portraits with these blurry backgrounds, a longer lens is probably your best choice. Keep in mind though that you're not going to use a telephoto lens to shoot landscapes. Obviously, you're going to have a wide angle lens if you want to show the entire scene that's in front of you. You're also not going to be able to shoot a sports game with a wide angle lens, right? So even though a lot of people say, yeah, you could just zoom with your feet, why don't you just get closer or why don't you get further away? Not only is that impossible in certain situations, but it really does totally change the look of your images when you can back up and zoom in or move forward and zoom out.